Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Coy and Larry coming to you on this Wednesday, June 10th. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Jim Coyle with you as always. Todd Leary and Jimmy's at the wheel. Hope you're having a great day. Lots to talk about. A couple, we got to mention Don Poole, the former baseball coach at Jeffersonville High School for a long, long time. Passed away yesterday, so we want to say hi. I know what thinking of his family and that community down there. Long-time member of that community, the baseball program at Jeffersonville, just dominant while he was there. Four trips to the Final Four. What a great run. Peyton Hendershot pled guilty yesterday to a misdemeanor charge that kind of puts his troubles away, so to speak. He's on probation, so that looks like that's going to work out for him. So hopefully he can keep things on the straight and narrow. Good for him. USC looks like they're ending their estrangement with Reggie Bush, Todd Leary. He's been persona non grata for quite some time after the trouble he got into. He got USC in trouble. He got his Heisman taken away, and but now everything's going to be all nice and hunky dory again. It looks like.
Oh my gosh, we can all rest again. I've been worried about that ever since it started. But I mean, what's the? I mean, is this a similar situation to what you said the other day with Chris Webber and Michigan and all that? I mean, it's just so silly in that regard, because now, I mean, I don't think anything happened that's making that stuff go away, right? I mean, he still violated the rules and got him in trouble.
Yep.
Why would anybody care? I saw it. I saw it was a lead story on ESPN, and I was like,
I guess this is like
cares?
the Michigan Chris Webber thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're everybody wants to love everybody. Jackie Moon, baby, love everybody, love everybody.
Hey, works for Tom Allen.
Well, let's love each other. We'll go Jackie Moon first. We got to start out on a slow program. I'm just kidding. The UFC. You've heard a lot about Fight Island, whether it was really real or not. It's real. They have an actual island, Yas Island, in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. The next 4 events are going to take place. The next 4 UFC events are going to take place on Fight Island. I don't want to go any island. I don't know that just anything called Fight Island. I don't know that you're ever coming back.
Yeah, that would be a toughie. But that area, like I've been to the United Arab Emirates and Dubai, and that area over there, it is beyond beautiful, and it's one of the nicest places in the world. So, I mean, it'd be cool. I'd like to know the rules before I got there, because if I got to fight my way to live to get off of it, I don't know that I'd make it very long.
Most people can't even go over there, I think, right?
I mean,
so you're not everybody can visit, or maybe it's still. I'm thinking of Saudi Arabia, but
yeah, no, there's a definite, like border line right there in that area. But the United Arab Emirates actually it was a beautiful place when I was there.
Absolutely. Let's see, Michael Jordan. Do you think he walks on water? Because
if he walks on it.
He can certainly fish it, because
he caught a big fish in it.
Man, his team, his crew, he's entered in this fishing contest, the Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament, which is one of the largest fishing tournaments in the country. His crew's Catch 23. They landed a 442-pound marlin. I did not know marlins got that stinking big. 442-pound fish. And it's only the 6th biggest fish caught in the tournament.
Seriously?
Yes.
I didn't read that part of it.
Yes, it's just the 6th biggest.
That's like, it's like catching a whale, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, 442. My God, that would wear you out.
Yeah, that didn't even make any sense. How many people does it take to catch that?
Oh my God, I don't know. I didn't see a video or anything, but I can't imagine. They probably had to go wake Michael Jordan up. Michael, come here. We got a fish.
Yeah, I don't know. You know how he is. I mean,
he was probably right up on it. Got the big stogie going.
Yeah, that's
fired away on that.
Obviously, I bet they had the nicest boat.
Oh,
they probably were fishing off of a yacht.
That's where we need Jared Jeffries on here.
That's a good point.
Talk about some deep sea fishing with his fishing show. But that was just a wild to see. So, man, I guess everything. He's trying everything. I would have never thought of competing in deep sea fishing for Michael Jordan. But whatever they can get to, I guess, right?
Well, it's just, how people change hobbies and just get tired of stuff. I mean, he's played golf for so long now. I think it's kind of a natural progression. You either tend to go off to fishing or hunting or something else outdoors. And when you've got the kind of money he does, it's probably, it's like, it'd be like camping. For some of us, we'd have a tent and he'd probably just build a cabin, and it would be a really nice cabin.
For those of you not into fishing, soccer returns on July 8th. Major League Soccer coming back, I think. Jimmy fed us that bit of information. So if you've been holding your breath for the return of soccer, you don't have to wait anymore. There you go. Ironically, I noticed the Duke AD Kevin White came out against the name, image, likeness, saying they're just worried of too many complications, which I'll be honest with you, I agree with them. There is no way they're going to be able to control this. They've been forced into this by some stupid senators who were going to come along and, let me change this. Let me be the guy. Well, let me be the guy. And they don't know what they're talking about. And to me, this is just there's no way they're going to be able to control this. So I agree with him. But at the same time, I find it very ironic when Duke's AD is coming out against this stuff when right now they are just surrounded by Zion Gate. So, yeah, I guess he's right. They probably can't control it. They can't even control it in their own university. So
yeah, there was a big article on ESPN last night about Duke and North Carolina, two schools complaining because they don't think the recruiting process is going to be fair with the name, image, likeness changes. And I'm like, of all the schools in the country that can complain, those two and Kentucky are probably the last ones you would ever want to hear complain about that stuff. I mean, yeah, imagine if they're worried about it, imagine the differences it's going to make to the mid-major schools, to the schools like Butler and places like that already struggle to compete against the big major schools from a standpoint of just getting the top recruits in the country. It's just, it's an impossible thing to try to manage. I don't know. You're right. I don't know exactly how they're going to attempt it.
I just don't see it. Just because, and whatever they put in place, it just seems to me that it's going to be easier to cheat that much more now because the things that have been the biggest problem now are going to be made legal.
Yeah. So I mean, it won't be cheating. It's going to be hard. They're going to try to set some guidelines on it, and those guidelines are going to have a gray area. And I think we've all proven over time that people are going to push that gray area to the point of it's going to get out of control. I mean, the example on ESPN was given. I mean, if you took Zion Williamson alone and you took the amount of money he would have made just off of his social media presence on ads would have been in the neighborhood of like $400,000 a year is what he would get paid just to have ads on whatever his social media. I don't understand how a lot of that stuff works, but that was the explanation they were giving. So, the unfairness when it comes to that is it's going to be impossible to regulate. You can't have a kid in college making $400,000 a year. That's just, he's all of a sudden a professional. That's the way it has to be.
Yeah. And for the most part, the thing is, there shouldn't be very big deals for very many of these kids because if that's the situation, they should have been going on to the league.
And look at it this way. I mean, a lot of people have been in college and been a college student in some capacity, and there is no reason in the world that a kid in college needs to be making $400,000 a year because he plays basketball or football or whatever the sport may be. And, the one of the big issues that, what are they going to do with that kind of money? They're going to be surrounded by people that they don't need to be surrounded by. Everybody's going to be trying to get it from them. It's just, that's going to be a crap show. I mean, that's not a good scenario.
Not at all. It's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. But I mean, because there's so much going on all at the same time now. All that stuff's hitting at the same time as COVID and rescheduling stuff, and it's just 1,000 things. I'll be honest with you. I feel a little sorry for the NCAA right now because of all the stuff that they're having to deal with and having forced down their throat. But it's their own problem because they should have dealt with this before. And they kept pushing off, not dealing with it, acting like, nope, it's a stupid old white man.
Amateurs.
We will not pay players. They're amateurs. And we'll take away their amateur status, by golly. It's just a joke. I mean, they put themselves in this position, so it sucks. But
well, I
just don't want to see college sports go away is the thing.
The hypocritical side of it is, why have things blown up the way they have when it comes to the NCAA in general is because, the TV contracts got to be outrageous. And the amount of money that's made from all of that is a lot more than it was 40 years ago. And so the problem with it is the NCAA is still acting, or I shouldn't say the problem. In my opinion, one of the problems with it is the NCAA is still acting with the same rules they had 40 years ago, only they're not playing the same game they were playing 40 years ago. They're making billions of dollars off of TV revenue, and then they're just expecting everyone else to sit back and say, with social media is different. We didn't have that 40 years ago. So they've got things that they need to address that they've not addressed until now when they're kind of forced to. And that's not a good look for them to have. And, you think about it, Jim. I mean, what's the number? What's the number you'd put on a college kid if you said, okay, every kid on the team is going to get X number of dollars a year above and beyond his scholarship and books and housing and that stuff. What's the amount of money? Is it $5,000? Is it $20,000? Is it $50,000? I mean, when you're in college, so what do you need? What do you need to live comfortably and survive? I mean, you don't need more than that.
Especially athletes. They're fed, they're housed,
right.
They're
everything,
medical city, everything is taken care of.
It's like what we talk about all the time. Rich people get the most free stuff. And it kind of works opposite of the way it should work in the people who actually need it. And in this case, you're right. All your medical's already paid for, all your books and housing and everything is already paid for. It literally, what do they need? And I'm not saying they shouldn't get anything or don't deserve anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, what's the number? What's the dollar amount? Should they all be the same?
I'll tell you what they need that they don't get anymore is hardship. Nobody gets hardship. They don't go through hardship because, oh my God, let's make sure we hand it to them. Let's make sure they got everything they need. Let's sure you got everything. Oh, honey, did you pack your lunch today? It's like we treat them like children. If you don't go through hardship, you don't know how to react to that later. You don't learn those situations, and too many paths are taken out of the way of kids today, I think.
And that's why, to me, the name, image, likeness is one scenario. I honestly, because the money's gotten to be, billions for the NCAA, I do think they're going to have to address that in some capacity. But on the flip side of that, the one-time transfer rule is the one I can't stand, because that's exactly what you're talking about. Every time something goes bad, every time they've got to, improve to crack back into that starting lineup, or anything goes wrong that they don't like, they can one-time transfer with no repercussions or nothing. They don't have to sit out a year. Nothing has to happen. And that to me is a way worse change than the name, image, likeness, paying the players thing, because the transfer portal will become a joke. I mean, you can already go look at the transfer portal right now. You see places like Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech's got 3 guys coming in graduate transfer portal. I mean, that's just, I don't like the direction of the way college sports is going with that stuff. obviously.
Joker hit the text line, says he sees world record marlin 1,560 pounds. Gee whiz. That's like a bus.
It's a whale.
Tim hit the text line. Interesting. Top 2023 recruit. What's that make him, a freshman in high school? Mikey Williams says he may go to an HBCU. Says if anyone gets paid for him being at their school, he wants to be his own people.
Oh boy.
See, exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Like now he's his own agent already at what? It was in the 8th grade or something.
I mean, that to me, this is one of the reasons why I would struggle with this, because that kid to me right now, I'm already making those statements, would get deleted out of my recruiting profile. It's just not worth the hassle. It's truly not. I mean, he may be really good, but it's not worth the hassle.
When you see a kid worrying about his brand already.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, I'm done with that. Hey, we got to hit a break real quick before we fire our producer. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Speed, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
There's one day in, the next day gone. Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside the darkened door where blues won't haunt you anymore. With a brave out free.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point. The weather's going to be absolutely phenomenal for the next week. Get out and do whatever you want to do, because my gosh, I cannot even fathom how incredible it is going to be. Father's Day is coming up. If you're looking for something to do for dad, get Major Dad points this Father's Day by treating him to a round on the Donald Ross course in French Lick. Dad plays for just $1 with a full paid round on Sunday, June 21st. Hurry, tee times won't last. Call 812-936-5523. That's 812-936-5523. Give them a call today. Man, that's an incredible deal. And man, oh man, Dad will love that. Whew. Beautiful up there. And the weather is incredible right now. It sure makes for fun for getting out. It's sure inviting people to get out, hopefully more and more right now. The habit is still to not get out, it seems like.
Yep, it is. And if you want to learn how to play, you can start watching live PGA Tour golf starting tomorrow. That's music to my ears.
Yeah, I can't wait.
A lot of people don't care. It's like when you announce the NASCAR races. It's cool that it's on because it's something, but it's just not exciting to me. But PGA Tour golf is.
Yeah, that's one of that is one that has cracked me up, that they have been so slow to get back. I mean, the most ready-made sports for COVID-19, and they have taken the longest to get back. It's blowing my mind.
Have you seen some of the changes they're going to make in regards to the broadcast? So I don't think it's after every hole, but after a certain holes that are, I think, pre-identified, they're going to have a tent beside the hole, and the players, when they exit the green, will stop in. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be, one player per hole, and we'll stop in and answer a question from Jim Nantz or Nick Faldo or whoever is in the booth, asking them a question about either a particular hole or what's going on. And so that's going to be kind of the interaction. I don't think they're technically going to be mic'd up where they're going to have a mic on them the whole time. But they're going to step in and answer a question or two, after a particular hole, which is definitely something different than what they've ever done in the past. And one of the other changes, this will be interesting to see how long this lasts. The PGA Tour has asked the players to grab their own golf club and put their golf club back. So the caddy technically doesn't need to touch the golf club. And I can't imagine that's going to last very long, because, you're going to see the players supposedly raking their own bunkers and cleaning their golf clubs off and cleaning the golf balls. To you and me golfing, that's normal, but to the PGA Tour guys, that's what they pay their caddies for.
Yeah, I think that in some instances, they're going above to look like they're doing things, because it gets to a point where, like, oh, that's ridiculous. A guy can rake his own freaking center. They can rake their own tag, have people rake traps and stuff. It's just funny how they, like also watch NASCAR. They'll have somebody out in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody around them, and they're all wearing masks, or reporters talking. The one that cracks me up is at nighttime, if you watch the national news or whatever, and the reporter's talking, giving the report, and they're wearing the mask. It's like, dude, there's nobody around you. Why are you wearing a mask right now? We can't understand you. Take it off. I don't care. I don't need to see you wearing a mask.
It's the idea of it. I mean, I'm with you. I agree. But in this case, this is the part of it I don't get is, so they're kind of acting like the caddies are, not in a close friend type relationship with their player. The player caddy relationship's not a close one. I mean, these guys spend an enormous amount of time strategizing and working together, practicing together on the craft and the things that they do. And so to think that it would matter whether one of them touched the club or the other, I mean, if you thought your caddy had the coronavirus or had COVID or anything in relation to that, I mean, you wouldn't want him caddying anyway. So if he's out there, he's healthy, and there shouldn't be an issue with him touching the club. I mean, it's just some of the rules were silly, but I think they're trying to set a precedent as much as anything and make it look as clean as possible.
Oklahoma State, we know, we got hit with the NCAA pleasantries of the postseason ban coming up. But one of the other things they have a loss of 3 scholarships over 3 years. That's kind of a big deal there in and of itself too. I mean, we talked about Indiana banking scholarships though. For they've had a scholarship available for the last couple of years. It seems like they've got 2 available right now. I think for next year, extra for next year. So not really that big of a deal, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with that, and I think the way that that's supposed to be set up as a penalty is that's going to penalize you more long term, because I mean, you and I both know that any team, not very many teams play more than 8 or 9 guys, let alone 11, 12, 13 guys, and you got 13 guys on scholarship. You're trying to develop those last couple guys on your roster. You're trying to develop them for the future, and so. Or you've got injury situations. I mean, that's where they could really come into some trouble, is if they get injuries, then all of a sudden they could be down to, dealing with not very many eligible players on their team. But, that whole situation, I mean, have you read the stuff about Kansas? I mean, this is what I don't get is now the NCAA has a new panel called the Independent Accountability Resolutions Process, which is the IARC, which is different from the Committee on Infractions, the COI, who generally is the one that would oversee this. Now this new IARP this is the first time they've ever been through the process. No one knows. They won't commit to a time frame on when they're even going to look at it. They haven't announced who's all the people that are on this new panel. I mean, this is just a complete train wreck of what the NCAA's got going on with this.
Everything the NCAA always does to me is a complete train wreck. It seems.
I mean,
like
the new panel. This is a quote. The new panel is designed to tackle the most complex cases in college athletics. Well, what does the Committee on Infractions do then? They only tackle the mediocre issues. It doesn't make any sense. Did you see that? I will say it backwards. That Kansas University petitioned the NCAA to rule on their football program that had infractions through the Committee on Infractions, and the Independent Accountability Resolutions Process panel to rule on the basketball. They want to split them. You know why they want to split them? Because they know the IARP is not going to even review this or do anything about it for years. And they want to just get their football program over and done with, because it only has a couple of level 2 violations. It's just funny that they're petitioning the NCAA to separate their 2 programs that both have violations against them to the NCAA. It's such a train wreck. Can't stand it.
But the thing is, we talked earlier about the name, image, likeness, and all that. I think when you add that to this and all that stuff together at the same time, I don't know that the NCAA has not shown the ability to handle much.
Where do you begin? Where do you begin to try to figure out what to start with? What problem to fix first? That's
the thing. Does it overwhelm everything and screw it all up? Do they just say finally, to hell with it, just do everything? That's the scary part.
They can't. First of all, I mean, it can't. That's anarchy, and that's just craziness.
Anarchy.
But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's such a big issue, and the issues themselves are so impactful, because here's what, if you watch the Scheme, which I know you did, and I know a lot of people did, and it was the documentary on the the FBI investigation into Christian Dawkins. And if you watch that, I mean, the basis for the attorneys that were on there of what they said was, and Jay Billis makes a great, he gives a great talk about this, and that word amateurism that the NCAA has tried to hang on to for so long. It's what makes the NCAA and college sports great, but also it has to be developed, or it has to adapt over time and have some changes to it. And that's the problem the NCAA, in my opinion, has had, because they've never adapted and they've never, had it change with the times. And they've just stuck with, amateurism. If you've been paid or you get paid or you've done anything or you can't benefit from your name, you can get a scholarship. That's it. End of the story. And the NCAA is not operating in the same capacity they were 50 years ago. So why are they expecting the athletes and coaches and programs to act in the same way they were acting 50 years ago? Times have changed.
Look at it.
That's all I got to say about that, Jim.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking at did you know Indiana offered a 7-footer recently?
No. Is he a football player?
He is.
I have absolutely no idea that you were going to say that. I could just tell the way you asked the question.
I've never heard of a 7-foot football player. I've never even heard of that. I'm just saw this.
6'10". They're like a 6'10" kid from Lawrence North a couple of years ago.
A 7-foot football player.
What's he play? That'd be
he's
cool.
line. I'm trying to see. Thinking defensive line.
You got to
get those hands up.
Line at that point. Yeah,
get those hands up in the air, man.
Quarterback. He can't be. He can't. Although as a center,
he's from Hoxie, Kansas. 7
Can you imagine Drew Brees? If he was a center, Drew Brees would not even have to bend over when he went up to the line of scrimmage. He could stand straight up and take a snap from that guy.
That's difficult. Basketball was my first sport I played. Obiah said my basketball coach actually told me to go out and play football just so to stay in shape. It helps with flexibility, I have to say, and being more explosive. Man, holy crap! If this
your basketball coach told you to go try out for football,
that's not a good sign.
Not a great sign.
And you're 7 foot. That's not a
great
good sign. But that's kind of wild. It's he's looking at Arizona, Indiana, and Iowa State. Those are the top 3 for this kid. So they're in play.
Did you see the 7-foot kid? I think he was a 2021 or 22 kid. The Chet whatever kid, basketball player from Minnesota. I think he said he was rated number 1 in the country. And he was looking at a lot of different places. He was 7 foot, 170 pounds. That's skinny.
Yeah, this kid's 300.
Exceptionally skinny.
Tim hit the text line. I do not understand why the school and players not involved are penalized instead of only the coaches or players involved.
Bingo. Agree completely. I mean, think about that. If you go to Oklahoma State right now, you just committed to go there. The number 1 player in the country in this season is committed to go to Oklahoma State. He had nothing to do with them getting in trouble. And he can't play in the postseason. Obviously, he's going to transfer or go to the G League, but some other players who are not the number 1 player in the country don't have that opportunity. I completely agree with you. That part is – I don't understand how they penalize the kids who had nothing to do with it.
It's unfortunately how it's been for a long time. I mean, you have to offer up a deterrent for the schools. Otherwise, they'll all just cheat until they get caught, which half of them probably are already. So it's kind of like it's like kind of like anything, Jim. I mean, if the coaches are held accountable, and it's not, there's not a gray area. The coaches are held accountable. I mean, here's my biggest issue with Kansas, and I don't really have any grudge to grind. I don't have any axe to grind with Kansas. If it was Kentucky, obviously I probably would. But in Kansas's case, they're irrelevant to me. And the fact that Bill Self is paid millions and millions of dollars a year, and his job is to be in charge of that athletic program. If there's stuff going on, and their claim right now is not that this stuff didn't happen. Their claim is that the basketball coaches and program didn't know anything about it. And that's ignorance doesn't make it acceptable. He's paid to know about it. So he should know about it, and he should be held accountable for it. And that's my biggest issue with it. Just claiming I didn't know it happened is basically admitting that it happened and you didn't do anything about it. You weren't aware enough to do anything about it. And that's just as guilty to me. Yeah, it's a unique situation that's not going away and is going to continue to roll forward. We got to hit a break here. We got more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're having a great day. We're back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary coming to you on this Wednesday. It's Hump Day, June 10th. Cannot believe we're almost halfway through this year. It would be good when this year's gone. I'll be honest about that. 2020 has not been good in any stretch of the imagination.
Well, no, we've had some battles and had some fights, but we've still got half a year to make it a good one.
Got a half a year left. Yeah, it's heading that way. Sports are slowly making their way back. The kids are coming back to campus. I saw that I think Indiana basically has their entire team on campus, minus potentially Christian Lander. I'm sure he is completing his requirements still for reclassification, because we've yet to see anything of him being there. But having those guys on campus has got to be at least a feeling of relief for Archie Miller, I would think, just to have them here.
Yeah, I mean, you as a coach, and Cliff Marshall with the training staff and program, I mean, they want to get these guys in there and see what we're dealing with. Where are we at? This is a big time of year, not just for the incoming freshmen, but for Trace Jackson Davis and his development from his freshman year to his sophomore year, and it's a big deal for these guys to come in here and get themselves rolling, let the coaches see where they're at and what they need to work on. And you've got some very important months to develop these guys into having a good cohesive unit and the individual players at the best of their ability. And this is super important time. I mean, I know it's tedious work day to day, but this is an important time for those young guys.
It certainly is. I mean, especially think about the freshmen coming in. This is a weird beginning, but the beginning of their collegiate career. And there's a whole lot of change going on. There's a whole lot of newness. Jordan Geronimo probably, coming from the furthest away. The other kids are Indiana kids, so they've got a support system kind of built in. But a kid coming from far away like that, kind of because you obviously went to IU, so you were close by, and half the kids on the roster are from close by. Kids that come from like California or far away. What's it been like playing with those guys? Do they even?
Here's one of the real things. I mean, Jordan Holes was a good example. Chris Lawson for us and Pat Knight were great examples for us. But Anthony Leal is going to be a great asset for for the out of town guys in that. You always kind of buddy up with them, guys who can get home easily. And obviously Anthony being from here from the Bloomington area or right on campus makes it real easy, to go home for, a fall break or for Thanksgiving or just to have a meal or whatever it may be. And you just always tend to, guys will buddy up with other people and who knows who's rooming with who. Like, I'm not sure who's rooming together. I was thinking about this time of year and one of the difficulties, I remember that transition in getting there, and the basketball part of it, honestly, wasn't that big a deal. The harder part for me was the academic side of it. And one of the things that a lot of these guys do when they come in immediately is they start summer school to lighten the load during the actual season so that you get 2 classes out of the way, you get 6 hours out of the way here in the summertime, and it makes it a lot easier academically throughout the season. And I'm not going to say they're not doing that. I'm just going to say, I don't know the process right now with summer school, whether they are doing it online, whether this summer they're just not doing it. I don't know that, but I know in the past, a lot of guys who would come in immediately and start, working out and getting with the coaches as freshmen, they would be taking some summer school and some summer classes. And, I don't know if that could be one of the issues with getting acclimated right now.
I know you can't speak for anybody else, but the freshman coming in, like Christian Lander right now, he's obviously working very hard to get his qualifications for reclassification finalized. So he's putting in where, his focus is there. But where his mind is. Once he gets here, is his mind going to be able to free up, or just, man, that's a lot of extra work. It's
really, okay. So here's the thing. I'm impressed with the fact that he's doing what he's doing. Okay. That side of it's great. But at the end of the day, it's not, I don't think as big a task as what it really sounds like until you sit down and analyze it. Like, I would be surprised if he's not, if everyone else is here on campus, or they will be getting here in the next 2 or 3 days because they're allowed to start working out on Monday, I'll be really surprised if he's not here also. The school work part of it, he'll get that done. It's not that difficult. The online stuff, you can have tutors and help and study groups and different things. Like, you can get that done. I don't know this. I've not spoken to him at all. I don't know him. I don't know Christian Lander, but I will say, I doubt he's spending 12 hours a day sitting in front of a computer to pass these classes that he has to take. I don't think it needs that kind of attention. I think he can do it without that being the case. So I think he'll be here on campus. If he's not here already, I would be surprised if he's not here, by next week sometime. I don't think the academic side of it's going to keep him from that.
Will those freshmen have any summer school this year?
That's what I said. I don't know. Generally, as soon as you get here, you're taking summer classes. You try to get 2 classes, which would be 6 credit hours out of the way. And you try to get that done, through summer school, which the first summer session is always the shortest. So that generally is that's what we always did. I mean, we took 2 classes in the first summer session, and it stinks because the summer, I mean, for people that don't know what the schedule is, or at least I can tell you what it used to be is we got up and lifted weights at 5:30 in the morning. And then we had to be at summer school classes at 8. We had class from like 8 to 11, sometimes 12, depending on what the classes were. And then we worked in a summer job from like 12 to 5. And then we played 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every night. Individual workouts. And then, they were quote voluntary, but individual workouts. And then we played 5-on-5. And that was every day. And by 8 o'clock at night, I mean, in the summertime, I'm telling you, you're exhausted. But the kind of the cool part is there's not that many students on campus anyway. So it's not like you feel like you're missing out on anything. But the summertime, it's not, you're not just running around like you saw the video of Jerome Hunter playing, some 5-on-5 and that stuff with guys in his hometown. It's not like that. It's way more difficult than that. Trust me.
Yeah, I would imagine that the work begins immediately, conditioning and otherwise. You got Cliff Marshall. That they want to. Cliff Marshall wants to get a hold of him as quickly as possible, especially Christian Lander coming out of high school because you got to strengthen him up, beef him up, build him up, get him on the nutritional program. All that.
Well, you can see. I mean, we become acclimated to it because we see them on a game basis. We see them all the time. But you take Rob Finney as an example. You look at him from his senior year of high school to now, I don't think there's any doubt Cliff Marshall is, if not the best in the field at strength training and whatever for college basketball. I'd be shocked because he has transformed some bodies into being big, grown men and strong and still having quickness and agility. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, there'll be some things. I doubt Christian Lander, especially because he's so young, not just because he reclassified. He was young for his grade anyway. And so it's just difficult. I mean, Jim, it's very difficult for you and I to relate to this, but if you think back to our 17-year-old selves, I mean, we couldn't put on weight for there was nothing I could do to gain weight. I mean, I ate McDonald's like 4 times a day at some point, and I'm not kidding. Like my dad used to feed me double cheeseburgers and milkshakes, like crazy to try to gain some weight, and it just couldn't happen. And so, it's Christian Lander. They're different now, believe me. I mean, Cliff Marshall does a great job with these guys and all the nutritionists and everything they've got going. But Christian Lander, I don't think they'll be trying to make him into some beefy, strong guy. I mean, part of his deal is how quick he is. And, I say it all the time. Yes, you need to be strong, and you need to be strong with the ball. Anthony Cowan last year, to me, was one of the most pesky guards in the whole country from Maryland. And that guy still doesn't weigh 150 pounds. So, I mean, it's got something to do with it. You need to, because you're going to take the beating and get, knocked around when you get in the lane. But I don't think they'll be trying to beef up Christian Lander too much.
We'll see. It's always a challenge to get that done. I saw some early football predictions coming out as far as top 25s and whatnot. Indiana is going to have a pretty difficult schedule, as always. They play in the Big Ten East, but Ohio State, number 1, Penn State, number 5. And then, of course, you've got Michigan. Where are they? I haven't seen them where they're ranked yet. But Michigan
7 or something, weren't they?
Wisconsin's number 10. There's your season opener. So we've already got 3 teams. They already have 3 games against top 10 teams. 3 already. That's of course they always play a tough schedule.
What out of the top 17? Didn't they have like 5 or 6 games in the top 17? Like it was crazy.
There's a bunch. Michigan is number 17. So there's that. That haven't even gotten out of the division yet. And we got 3 top 17 games. They don't play Minnesota this year, which is number 18. The Big Ten is going to be a juggernaut this year again. The Big Ten is there are no gimmies in the Big Ten besides Rutgers. Rutgers is a gimme. I'm gonna go. Now, hopefully, I know that. Greg Schiano is working to change that. But right now, Rutgers is the only gimme in the Big Ten. I mean, Wisconsin went to Illinois, got beat. Nebraska's not a gimme. Minnesota is on the rise. Iowa. Then you come over to the eastern side. Maryland has one of the top recruiting classes. And again, other than Rutgers, but gee whiz, man, as good as Indiana is getting, are they gaining ground? That's the thing. They're getting better, but are they gaining ground? It seems like it.
Okay, so explain this to me. I just touched on it yesterday, and we kind of skimmed through it because we had a lot going on, but today we don't have. So explain to me how in the list of coaches for the Big Ten, and this was on CBS Sports yesterday. This is not just some BS little thing. This is on CBS Sports. It has Rutgers coach Greg Schiano listed as the 9th. He's done the 9th best job with his team in the Big Ten, and it has Tom Allen at number 11. Explain that to me. I mean, they're picked to be last in the league or second to last in the league easily. Explain to me how Jeff Brom at Purdue is picked ahead of Tom Allen. I can't understand that.
They're going on. Yes.
They're going on what?
They're going on past records. They're going on their past experience or past success, what they've done.
At Western Kentucky? They're taking Jeff Brom's record at Western Kentucky?
Just overall. I promise you, anybody would love to have Jeff Brom. He's sought after. He makes $6 million a year for a reason. He's one of the great offensive minds in the game.
So they were 4-8 last year,
and they were decimated by injuries.
Okay, and so this year coming up, let's say they go 5-7 this year. Do you fire him?
No, they're not going to fire him. He makes $6 million a year. They just gave him a $6 million a year contract 2 years ago. He's not going anywhere. The only place he's going next is Notre Dame. Let me tell you, Jeff Brom is one of the best coaches in college football.
Why do you say that?
Because he is. It's like saying, "Why do you?"
Okay, but I'm not mad. I'm not.
I know I'm
not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, like, tell me why you say that.
He's an offensive.
Tell me why people think that. A lot of people think that.
His offensively, he is very, very good. He's got now. They have to win like everywhere else. But last year they were beset by. I don't want to take up for Purdue, but last year they were beset by injuries. He's got a great talent. I don't know what they have quarterback wise this year, but I mean, Jeff Brom is one of those guys that he is always going to be in the want. I mean, people want him. He could have gone a lot of places, but he stayed at Purdue, of course, with a $6 million contract. That helps. But to me, his next stop is Notre Dame. That's why he didn't go to Louisville. That's just that was a lateral step. He's waiting to go to Notre Dame, in my opinion, or the NFL. I don't know, but because he's played in the NFL, played in the XFL, but just a great offensive mind. Which doesn't always mean jack. I mean, look at Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson was a good offensive mind, but you have to have defense along the way. But
I don't know. I mean, I'm not even. I wish he wasn't at Purdue because it sounds like I'm trying to pick on Purdue, and I swear to you, I'm not. I'll use Greg Schiano, I guess, as another example if you want me to. But or no, a better example is probably Scott Frost in Nebraska. I mean, I know at Central Florida, he was unbelievable, offensive mind. He's incredible. What have they done at Nebraska? I mean,
well, you got to give him time. He's only been there 2 seasons. You got to build a program, especially one that was torn down like that one is. Their recruiting classes are good. Tom Allen was 5-7 2 years in a row.
I'm just asking, though, I don't disagree with you, but Tom Allen, this is my point. Seeing those guys, seeing Scott Frost rated number 9, seeing Pat Fitzgerald rated number 7, seeing Jeff Brom rated above Tom Allen, I'm sitting here saying I think Tom Allen has produced more than those guys I just said in the 3 years he's been here.
Did you watch?
So why is he rated below him?
Did you watch the Gator Bowl?
I did. They were in the Gator Bowl. I tried to watch the Gator Bowl and see Purdue in it, but they weren't there. And I tried to watch Rutgers in Nebraska, and they weren't there.
Did you see the end of the Gator Bowl?
I did.
I think stuff like that is until stuff like that does not happen, that is where Indiana's coaching will probably remain ranked wise. It may be unfair, but you've got to do something to get out of it.
How many years do you give Jeff Brom at Purdue? If they don't win 8 games next year, how many years do you give him?
Jeff Brom's not going anywhere, man. Only place he's going is if he wants to go someplace. He is a sought after coach. He is a wanted coach, and Where are they going to win 8 games next year? I don't know. I don't know if they have quarterback wise. I don't cover them, but I know they have
his job to recruit him.
I'm just saying I don't know what they have.
I'm with you. I know. I'm just saying.
Them. So I can't speak intelligently on them what they can do next year because I don't follow them. I don't cover them, so I don't know. Of course, they want improvement. Obviously, everybody does. But I know they were beset by injury last year. But I also know they have some freaking talent on that team. They got some offensive players. And one thing that I don't think anyone wants to see is Jeff Brom with talent on offense because it could get ugly. But didn't yet. I mean, they have to win just like everybody else does. And until they do, those rankings that you're looking at, I guess, again, people are just basing on what they've seen before from those coaches and what they've seen before from Tom Allen. I mean, what have they seen? They've seen one winning season, and it came with the debacle in the Outback or in the Gator Bowl. So there's no way they're going to move them up above those guys. Yet they're going to have to do something to get moved up like that. Achieve. I mean, they're just going to have to achieve in the minds of the people that do that, because all those people are outside the program and they see it as it's always been Indiana. We got to take a break, man. That one jumped up on me. Didn't even see that one coming up. We got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy and Leary. Make sure you stay tuned. We're back with more to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be counting stars.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Indiana Sports Beat is now a part of the Rivals Network. You can go to thehoosier.com to sign up. It's free. Catch the show there each day live or at your convenience. You can also like or follow us on Facebook, follow the show's rebroadcast anywhere you podcast. If we're not on a radio station where you live, we should be. Let your local station know they need to carry Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, or simply go to thehoosier.com.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle Leary coming to you here on this Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point. Can't believe it, man. It's June 10th. Unbelievable. Talking about coaching and the Big Ten. Everybody gets to prove their worth this year. There's no doubt about that. Jim Harbaugh. Now, you want to have a conversation. That's the conversation to me is Jim Harbaugh. How long do you let that guy go? He's winning. He's winning more than 80% of the teams in the Big Ten. He's winning more than all of those teams, but he's not beating Ohio State. Michigan does not seem to be going up, which they're up pretty high. You have to acknowledge that when you're winning 10 games a year. But they don't seem on the precipice of being a contender for a national championship. They don't even seem to be on the precipice to be a contender to beat Ohio State. Now to me, that's a question. That's a discussion right there. How long do you let Jim Harbaugh go?
In thinking about that, like I think it's twofold with that. If they're winning, 10 or 11 games every year and they're going to their bowl game and they're dominating their bowl game, and just for whatever reason, the nemesis in Ohio State, they just can't seem to beat them. I think that time period that he gets extends. I think it stays longer, but that's not the case. I mean, yes, they're still beating the teams they should beat. They're not beating the teams that, they're losing a game every year. It seems like that they shouldn't lose, like at Iowa or, I can't remember who they lost to last year. It was a bad loss. And they can't have those. I think his time frame gets extended if not beating Ohio State, if they're doing those other things, but they're not. So I'll be honest with you. I mean, the bar is so much higher when you're talking about Michigan expectation football than a lot of other schools. And so I don't think that he gets extended for very much longer unless they beat Ohio State pretty soon. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I think they're 0-6. I think he's 0-6 against the Buckeyes. That just doesn't go well for those guys. But, man, I don't see him being any closer. Of course.
Heck no.
0-6, that's a big number. I mean, for Michigan fans, which but again, if you're another school and you're winning 10 games, they're going to be really happy. But they're beyond that. They want to be where Ohio State is. But they haven't gotten any closer to me in Jim Harbaugh's time. I don't think
they've gotten farther away. I mean, and that's truly, I would not say that's because Michigan has gotten worse. I would say Ohio State has gotten better, during that time period. I mean, it's just, it's such a difficult thing because you look at, you look at that and Jim Harbaugh can make the argument every year that they're still having very successful seasons, but, and you know how it is until they win that game, it's not going to matter.
Jennifer at the text line. Let's see. IU basketball is allowing a payment. Oh, that's yesterday's. Kind of like Cam and Purdue. Archie can't beat the Boilers. Ooh, hello. Shot fired over the bow. There's some truth there. How long? What happens if Archie does not beat Purdue this year?
I mean, I
know they're not going to fire him. I know that.
I answer that question exactly the same way I did Jim Harbaugh's question, in that if they go to the NCAA tournament and make the Sweet 16, but they lost to Purdue twice, I think the only time we really talk about that will be the following season when they play Purdue again. It won't be that big a deal. Now, the 2 times they would lose to him during the season, yes, that would be a big deal. And it would get brought up. He'd have to answer the questions, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff would be factual and happen and understood. Now, they lose 2 more times to Purdue this year and don't make the NCAA tournament, I think we have a different conversation.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I don't think that's going to be an issue, obviously, or making the tournament. Beating Purdue, Indiana's coming into the season. Indiana is going to be way thought of much higher than Purdue, I think. From Purdue's lost, they lost two of their starters already. So, and of course, Indiana lost a starter as well. I mean, so they're both teams are having to fill in some holes, but Indiana seems to be in a better position coming into this season than Purdue is, I would think.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that, Archie Miller's won the recruiting battle and war when it comes to Indiana versus Purdue. I don't think there's any question about that. But, when you look at it and you analyze, the teams coming up this year, I mean, we've done this a little bit in the past. Iowa obviously is going to be ridiculous. Luka Garza coming back. This is a generational type player. This doesn't happen very often. You get a guy like that, the player of the year, that comes back, and he very easily could have been player of the year in the country. And so, where does IU finish this season, in your opinion? And it's early. We don't know who's going to do what. But I mean, when you just look at who's coming back and what teams had transfers and what teams had whatever, if Indiana doesn't finish in the top three, in Todd's expectations for the year coming up, I will look at it as it wasn't as successful as it could have been.
I do not see Indiana finishing in the top three.
Who finished outside of Iowa? I know they would be in there. Who do you have up there?
Michigan State, Maryland.
Maryland. Who's Maryland going to have?
And there's one other team. Oh golly. Well, I can't think. Penn State. Fourth is kind of what I think their ceiling is. What I think it's going to be. That doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying I think that fourth is their ceiling for what the league's going to be tough next year. It's going to be tough, and Indiana's got to show improvement in areas. They've got to show improvement in shooting. They've got to hope that some of these freshmen coming in, whether it's Anthony Leal or Christian Lander, are going to make the impact needed to not just to continue forward, but to continue forward and raise the bar. They've got to raise the bar.
Let me tell you this, and this is how much I agree with what you're saying, but this is also how much I expect of the guys that are coming in. If you tell me right now that we're not going to get any production out of Christian Lander, Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, and Jordan Geronimo, if you tell me that those guys as freshmen are just going to have very, very mediocre freshman seasons, my pick for Indiana would be 8th or 9th in the Big Ten.
Much like last year.
With all of those guys, I think they'll be 2nd or 3rd. That's how big of an impact I think those freshmen are going to make on this basketball team. And I don't just mean it in the fact that somebody's going to come out and average 20 points a game. I think they're going to give Indiana that much depth and that much ability to shoot the ball and that much ability to push guys in practice and make them better. Like I'll tell you right now, and I'm comfortable in saying this because I have been a Rob Phinisee supporter from day one. But Rob Phinisee is going to have to work his butt off to crack the starting lineup. And that's a good feeling. As a fan, that's a good feeling. I like that scenario.
I think he's certainly going to be challenged. Christian Lander is the recipe needed. Actually, is a year too late. It would have been nice to have him a year ago, but that's beside the fact. But yeah, I mean, Rob Phinisee needs that. He needs to be pushed. I mean, you can't push yourself. I mean, you can to a degree, but there's only so far you can push yourself.
And look, there's something to the point of when the position's yours, it's just different. I'm not going to say he doesn't have a good work ethic. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying the opposite of that. But I'm also going to say it's just different. When there's a chance that you could still play pretty well and not be in the game because other guys are passing you by and playing that much better than you, then it makes you play different. It makes you improve. It makes you work harder and want to improve. And that's something they did not have last year. I mean, I'll tell you, I really hope good things for Armaan Franklin. But Armaan Franklin is going to really, really, really have to improve his basketball game over the summer in order to get in the game.
Jennifer asked, where did you guys finish your freshman year in the Big Ten?
I don't know where we finished, but I can tell you our record was 8-10. because we were 10-0 going into the Big Ten. We had beat everybody, and we had a bunch of freshmen playing, and we thought we would never lose a game. And we lost our very first road game in the Big Ten to Ohio State on a last-second shot, and we finished 8-10 in the Big Ten, and we got drilled by some people. I mean, we played like Kendall Gill and Stephen Bardo and those guys from Illinois, and we played. I mean, the guys from Michigan were gigantic and huge and big, and Purdue just annihilated us. Like we learned a big time like that YouTube thing that you hear of Coach Knight where he's screaming and yelling. A lot of people think that that's at a halftime of a game, and it's not. That's in the summertime, and that is after the season of our freshman year, and that's just him going crazy on us because it was a disappointing year. There's no question about it. We barely made the NCAA tournament, and we were 18-10 because we were 10-0 to start the year, and we went 8-10 in the Big Ten. And we barely made the NCAA tournament. And you talk about a scare. Like we worked so hard that summer, it was crazy.
See, out in Iowa, they're having a little trouble. Chris Doyle is transferring. I think Dylan Doyle's transferring. I think his father, Chris, is a strength coach out there for the football program. They've got some issues going on there, but when your son transfers, that's never a good sign.
Yep, I would say Dad's probably not far behind him.
I would say you are correct. Absolutely. Jennifer, firing up the text lines today.
Appreciate it.
7th. You finished 7th, by the way.
7th in the Big Ten? Yeah.
She does not have as high hopes as you do. It's because you're smart, Jennifer. You're thinking. Yeah, she didn't have the same high hopes for next season. I mean, I think she's probably thinking like me. I think they're going to be fine making the tournament and all that. I think that the league is going to be tough enough to where I don't see this team, not yet, in the top 3. They don't have they have not shown me that they have the shooting to be in a top 3 team yet. So not that stuff can't change. Not that Anthony Leal can't come in and be the guy. Not that Trey Galloway can't be the guy or whomever. Or Jerome Hunter. There's another. That's the one we haven't talked a lot about. He's a big X factor. There's 2 reasons. Number one, he's a year older and a year further removed from the problems he was going through. But now he's got even a much bigger platform with Justin Smith gone. He's kind of the guy in that role. I mean, and that's the role that Justin Smith really wanted to play with, putting up some threes and playing a little bit. So I think Indiana's going to gain, but they're going to lose in rebounding.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I don't know. I mean, we had Mike DeCourcy on yesterday, and he talked, or 2 days ago, and he talked kind of the exact same thing that you're talking. And I'll be honest with you, I think Race Thompson is the guy that fills that position. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope Jerome Hunter just goes crazy and has a breakout year, and this is the year that he takes that position. But right now, I think that position is Race Thompson's, and you're not going to need that much scoring out of it. It's a scenario that you need that position to be a good defender and a big solid rebounder. Because I honestly believe your 2 and 3 guards, if not your 1, 2, and 3 guards, are all going to be very capable scorers. And I don't think there's any question Trayce Jackson-Davis is going to – I don't think he'll have – what did he average last year, like 13.5 points a game? I don't think he'll average significantly more than that. I think Trayce Jackson-Davis will be in the 15-point-a-game range. But I think that other scenario of those guys, filling in the aggregate for Justin Smith, I think those other positions are significantly going to increase in scoring. In consistent scoring. I mean, Devontae going off for 30, it was awesome when it happened. We just couldn't count on it regularly.
Not even semi-regularly.
Obviously, right.
I think that the rebounding is going to be the portion that they have to make up, because
that's why I think Race Thompson is
and he's shown that he's got the capabilities. We've saw last year. I mean, he looked good. And he's going to be better, of course. So, but we talk about pushing. Christian Lander coming in to push Rob Finney is going to be great. Who's pushing Race Thompson though?
Joey Brunk. I mean, look at it from a position. There's only 5 positions, and so Trayce Jackson-Davis is playing. Okay, beyond that, because you and I had this conversation a month and a half ago when Justin Smith was still at Indiana. There was 2 positions you could totally name. Those guys are starting, and that was Justin Smith and Trayce Jackson-Davis. Well, now Justin Smith's gone. I would only be willing to guarantee you one starting name right now. I couldn't even give you a second one right now.
I think Race is pretty much guaranteed to start.
Joey Brunk started every game last season.
Oh, I was going to say, with the exception
I'm with you.
He should start, but for whatever reason, if Archie determines he likes that lineup better, for whatever reason, maybe he's bringing him later. But yeah, Race is, to me, the premier player of that spot on that team.
I agree.
But maybe his mind is, again, whatever he's thinking, that he wants Race to start.
In my opinion, you've got to take the guys of Trayce Jackson-Davis, Joey Brunk, Jerome Hunter, and Race Thompson to fill 2 positions. So you got 4 guys right there to fill 2 positions. Now, 25 minutes a game to 30 minutes a game, that's going to be Trayce Jackson-Davis. I always say starter, and I don't really mean starter. I mean the guy that's going to play the most amount of minutes. And so when you look at those guys, 2 of those 4 are going to fill those positions. Now, one of the roles that I think fluctuates back and forth is Jerome Hunter can also be thrown into the 1, 2, and 3 position. And the guy that we don't know about all of this is Jordan Geronimo, because with his size, I think Jordan Geronimo might be a guy that you can also fit into both categories. But beyond those, then you're going to have the 3 guard positions that you're going to fill with Finney, Armand, Al Durham, Leal, Christian Lander, Galloway, Geronimo, and possibly Hunter. So for 3 positions, you've got 6 or 7 guys in there. And that's a scenario I love. I hope there's nobody I left out of all that and over, not thinking of who, because I don't want to not mention someone in that scenario. But I mean, you've got potential for 10 guys to fill 5 positions, and that's a great position to be in. And I think they're all capable of it.
Why start Joey Brunk and play 10 minutes and play 10 minutes?
Never understood that last year at all. I don't get it. It's obviously something. There's obviously something to it, and it's. But I mean, it falls right into what I say all the time, and what I truly believe. I don't care who starts. I don't care at all who starts.
Right, I get that. But when you're only playing 10 minutes, it's like, what's the point? I mean, if you're going to do that, why not just bring him in relief for those 10 minutes? I don't get because it's not like it's that he's in there for 15 minutes at a stretch. He comes out pretty quickly generally. So it's like, well, what's the reasoning there? Why? What is that? What purpose could that serve? I mean, is this mental thing? I'm racking my brain. I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I could not explain it last year. That's one of the good things for Archie Miller. He doesn't have to explain it. Yep. He can handle that however he wants. And I never understood it. I don't know. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But also understand, I grew up in the era of Coach Knight would change his lineup twice a week. Like, he didn't. There was a few staples. There was a few of the Trayce Jackson-Davises. Obviously Damon and Calbert, and those guys were going to start no matter what. Beyond that, I mean, heck, I started numerous games my freshman year.
Yeah.
Like if you had a good week in practice, he gave you the opportunity to get out there and play. And that is, and I think Archie does a little bit of the same thing. I think there are a couple guys that he gets stuck on a starting lineup and he likes to stick to it. That's just a different philosophy. The good news, the reason why I truly don't care at all about that is because he doesn't get stuck on leaving that lineup in there for 30 minutes a game. And when he needs to make a change, he makes the change. And from that perspective, that's all that really matters to me.
Ryan from Michigan says, I'm with Todd, and I will do them one better. I predict IU will be right with Iowa going into the last week. The moxie of this team will get IU to the Sweet 16. Woo! I don't know about that, boy. Iowa's a for real team.
Iowa's dominant. Iowa's got everything you could want. They've got shooting. They've got experience. They've got everything that you would want. So they're going to be extremely difficult to play against. Beyond that, I mean, Michigan State should be really good, although they lost. I mean, how do we diminish it enough by just saying they lost their best player and playmaker? I mean, Cassius Winston was everything to that team. But they also have one of the best coaches that's ever been around the game, and he just does a great job. They've got a transfer coming in, the Hauser kid, that I'm scared to death to see how good he's going to be under Tom Izzo. I mean, Michigan State could/should be up there as well. But when you look at it on paper, the way Iowa's really the only team that has proven players that are going to be better than Indiana. In my opinion. I mean, you bank a lot on freshmen, which is never a great recipe unless you're Kentucky or Duke. But we're banking a lot on freshmen. I just love the attitudes and the skill set of these freshmen coming in.
Looking forward to seeing them on the court, too. Looking forward to seeing just basketball. Looking forward to seeing a lot of things going. But we appreciate everybody joining us here on the program today. We can't wait to do it all again tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I hope you go out and have a great day. Do something nice for somebody. Say something nice to somebody. Let's all just love everybody. Let's all be Jackie Moons out there. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Appreciate everybody here on the program, all the texters as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, thanks to Jimmy. Thanks to Todd. I'm Jim Coyle. Until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.